Today, I'm going to tier rank every single boring business that pops up on this boring business slot machine. That is right, the very unsexy industries like pest control, HVAC, plumbing that are making millionaires every single day. And I don't know what these businesses are yet, but my team told me we have 10 businesses and we're gonna have to force rank them between S, A, B, and C tier. So make sure you stick around so we can see how many of these businesses actually fit within S tier. Heck, it could be all of them, it could be one of them. Who knows? We're gonna figure that out. And oh yeah, I forgot to say hi. Well, if you're new here, hi, my name's Kenny Finance. I'm the private equity baby where I find businesses, buy businesses, and help them grow. That is literally the only thing that I know how to do. And I've been doing that for 10 plus years at the best private equity firms on Wall Street, Blackstone and KKR. And my only job is to take everything that I learned on Wall Street and secretly give it away to free to you so that you can learn how to buy businesses as well. So without further ado, let's dive in and try to tier rank some of these boring businesses. Let's rock. First things first, let's lay out the criteria of what separates an A, B, C tier business. And I have 3 key components of my criteria. The first one is super important, and it's called recession resilience, meaning that if the economy falls and collapses, what are the odds that your business will collapse as well? Or is this the type of company and business that can weather different economic storms and roller coasters? That is very important. The next one, number 2, is barriers to entry. We want to understand how difficult is it for someone else to start a competing business and try to take away share from you? Is this the type of company where everyone and their mama can launch a business and then you have millions of competitors? Or is this the type of company that has an entrenched moat, meaning not everyone can come and build a business right next door to yours and try to steal your customers? So we want to figure out how defensible is this business competitively. Lastly is the gross margin profile. And if you don't know what gross margin is, that is your revenue less the cost of goods sold, meaning that the cost that it took to procure the inputs as well as produce that good or service. And after that, you have your gross profit. You take your gross profit divided by your revenue, and that's your gross margin. That allows for you to kind of get a very, very, very high level glance in terms of what kind of cash flow this business could generate. It doesn't include all the costs, but it includes some of the most essential costs associated with producing or delivering that particular service. S tiers, that's pretty obvious. Recession resilient, super high cash flow, extremely defensible business models. A tier, these are also very, very, very good. But there might be something with the competitiveness, there might be something with the margin profile, or these could have been S-tier businesses, but to buy them today, it's super expensive given how many folks are trying to bid up the prices on those assets. B-tier are the ones that kind of have things that are just structurally difficult, meaning a lot of competition or limited pricing power, or during recessions and downturns, some of these businesses take a pretty notable dip. And then on the C tier, these are the ones that have lower margins, giving customers have a bunch of different options because a lot of competitors, so you don't really have pricing power in this industry. But then also during recessions, you kind of notice a dip in the overall performance and revenue of these businesses. So I'm pretty curious to see like which one of these 10 will fit within that C. Not to call these bad businesses, but out of the other options, I'd probably buy the others before I buy a C tier business. But enough talking, turn the slot machines on, y'all. Let's see what we got going here. I'm so eager to see what the first one is. All right, so we're diving into these businesses, and I don't actually have a slot machine like in my room right now, but what I do have is I have my Instagram DMs on my phone picked up, and my team is going to send me one business per like 30 seconds to a minute, and I have to quickly review and rank them to see what our rank is going to be. All right, let's go. Okay, so first one is not in yet. I'm refreshing. Oh, Pest Control. My thesis on recession resilience is that for pest control, bugs don't give a crap about the economy. All right, I'm living right now in California, and right now it's the summertime, and I had an ant issue in my home. If it was a recession or if it was a booming economy, I still had to go buy ant traps and potentially hire a pest control business to try to figure out what's happening with these bugs. And that's what I like about this business model is that like good times or bad, folks are still going to need to have regular maintenance or one-off sort of step-in solutions when there's a pest problem. It is very essential. And then number 2, barriers to entry. I like to put this one as like medium to high because you do need to be a licensed business to actually run and operate a pest control company. Not everyone can sort of start a pest control business if they wanted to, right? And also it's kind of specialized skill to have the right equipment, to understand different insect patterns, things like that. So you kind of need to be a specialized pest control business to really do this successfully. And then on the gross margin profile, like I looked up a stat here and it says that gross margins for these kind of businesses can be 55 to 65%. Because if you can have centralized labor that's on a very clear schedule and you can sort of keep your chemical costs pretty low, you can have a high margin business. So for this one, I'm gonna put this in the S tier. This one, S tier, is crazy because whenever I see a pest control business that is for sale, I'm signing the NDA, I'm asking for the SIM, and I'm requesting mirror management because I love those things. They print cash, and a lot of them are family owned. So that's a banger business. All right, next one. I'm ready, team. Next one is funeral service. So funeral service. Okay, so for recession resilience, I would put this one as pretty high as well, because when you think about it, like that unfortunate time for a family can happen at any moment's notice. And typically they want to have an organized ceremony to bury and celebrate the life of the person who passed away. And people are not going to just stop burying their family members and friends during a downturn as well. So I think this is pretty high recession resilience. And when it comes to barriers to entry, there's a few structural moat that exist here. Number one, you need to have sort of access to real estate and land to either have the funeral home as well as the burial services. So you need to have those fixed assets available. So if someone down the block wants to start one, they have to spend a lot of money for the land and the assets as well as get the licensing as well. So I think there's a real structural moat when it comes to having a funeral home business. And then gross margins, these businesses can have between a 50 to 60% gross margin profile given the pricing premium that you can have on here. And here's another cool part of the thesis. The availability of land that we have for tombstones and burial services, it's a pretty fixed amount. And as cities are growing and more people are passing away and our populations are growing, there's just not enough space. So you're seeing the price per lot for a burial service has been increasing significantly. And I saw a stat that said it is even growing faster than some of the best assets like the S&P 500, which is crazy. So like a cool investment is just buy a lot and watch it appreciate in value. But then also you're opening up diversified revenue streams like cremation services. Like that's banger as well. Okay, so for tier ranking for this one, I'm gonna put this as S tier as well. It's like a no-brainer asset. Like you just have so many structural tailwinds that make this such a unique business model to where if you can buy it, you can keep it for a very long time. It's never going to go away. It prints cash flow. You have diversified revenue streams. Like this is a no-brainer asset to own. So check those out as well. I think it's S tier, but I could be convinced. So drop it in the comments down below. All right, moving on to number 3 on my DMs, we have commercial cleaning services. All right, so for commercial cleaning services, these are the folks that go and clean schools, office buildings, hospitals. So not like your maids that come and clean your house. These are folks that actually go in and sanitize and clean businesses regularly, and offices and hospitals and commercial buildings. That's a really good business model. Okay, so recession resilience. Businesses always need to be clean. I'll put this as high as well. And keep in mind that like some type of buildings, like hospitals and schools, like you legally and federally need to keep a certain clean environment for that building, right? Like a school needs to be clean. A hospital needs to be very, very, very clean. So these are very essential services. But then barriers to entry. This isn't looking too pretty. I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to actually winning some of these projects, the buyers, the hospital, the building, the real estate owner, they typically go with best quality, cheapest price. And it doesn't take that much to build yourself a compelling commercial cleaning business. You need to have, of course, the license, which is not that difficult to obtain. It's one of the easier licenses to get. You need to have the equipment. That stuff doesn't cost that much, not like thousands. And you just need to have the labor and put out a job post on Indeed, and folks want to work. So you can probably find labor relatively quickly. And then you just need to compete on the job. And to compete and win, just bid the lowest price. And then from there, just do a good job, get a good reputation, and you can win more and more business. But then what's also tricky is if I already have an existing customer and someone that comes that is new that has a cheaper price, there's not 100% certainty that my customer is going to stay with me. Like they could leave at any time unless I have contracts in place. So barriers to entry is a little tough. I'll put that as medium to low. And then for the gross margins, these can be around 30 to 40% because keep in mind, like you can't charge the highest prices for this kind of business model because of the bidding functions and a lot of the competition, but you're kind of limited on the revenue pricing angle. And then with cost, labor's going up, supplies are going up, so your margins can be compressed as well. So this gross margin profile is not that attractive. So with those things in mind, I'm probably going to put this one definitely not S tier. We're going to put this one as B tier. We're going to put commercial cleaning services as B tier. Lock it in, final. All right, hit me with the next one. We are on a roll. Number 4, HVAC services. Ooh, this is good. Okay, so this is like every private equity investor's dream. You buy a business that is essential, recession resilient, and there's so many of them that you can build a platform. Let me tell you about HVAC. Whether it is a recession or a booming time, in Texas and Florida, it gets hot in the summer. And I'll tell you one thing, folks have their ACs on. And if they have their ACs on, they're running it a ton and they're going to need to have maintenance and repairs. So who are you gonna call? Your local HVAC person. So recession resilience is extremely high for this business model. And then for barriers to entry, I will put this as medium to high because you do need to have the licenses and the specialized skill set to work on the different pieces of equipment, whether it's a refrigerator, heating system, or air conditioning. Like you just need to have that unique skill set. The only issue is it's a very, very, very fragmented competitive landscape. Like there is so many HVAC platforms out there that are servicing different types of equipment. Like there's not like one person per city. There's like 1,000 per city almost. But the gross margins are nice. Like if you can get into a customer, do good jobs, get recurring contracts, it can be pretty solid. Like it can be like 40 to 50, almost 50% plus gross margins. That's why folks like this, because you can buy it, you can generate a lot of cash flow, buy another business. Like it's a really, really, really sound play. Okay, so with that, like I would normally put this S tier, but okay, it's gonna be A tier. I'll tell you why. I think it's gonna be A tier primarily because like when you think about this business, it's a no-brainer for private equity investors. Something that has a fragmented landscape, meaning you can buy a bunch of these, and it also has recession-resilient characteristics, and it generates cash flow. Like with that kind of model, you're going to have a lot of large, deep-pocketed buyers, like my old firms, trying to go buy all of these assets. Like a handful of years ago, you can go and buy yourself a really nice mom-and-pop, family-owned HVAC business for like 3 to 4 times cash flow. Now, given how competitive it is, if it is a really good, best-in-class HVAC business, you are now having to pay 7, 8, 9 times multiple for that kind of business. Like it's getting crazy. I would have put this S tier, but since we are looking to buy businesses today, the price you're going to have to pay for the quality of an HVAC platform is going to be insanely expensive relative to what you would have had to pay a handful of years ago. So given the crazy premiums you're paying in the market today for HVAC businesses, I'll put this as like A tier, almost A minus tier, but it's still a really good business to look at. So if you can find one at a 3 to 4 times multiple and a really solid business and a good team, like definitely lean into that. But I don't know, like trust your judgment if you're looking to pay anything over like 7, 8 times. Like it has to be a really best-in-class asset. All right, moving on. Boogie hit me with it. And if you don't know Boogie, Boogie is the amazing person that edits all my videos, and he's going to be sending me the next business, which is car washing. That reminds me, I haven't washed my Tesla in 6 months. If you ever see me cruising around Laguna Beach in my dirty car, you don't know me, all right? Relax. All right, so recession resilience. I already just told you, I haven't washed my car in like 6 months. So I guarantee you that if we were in a recession, I'm definitely not washing my car, especially paying like $50, $60 for like a detailed wash. You can do it yourself at home, kinda. So recession resilience, I will put this as like low to medium. And then for barriers to entry, this is also really tough. Granted, it costs a lot to buy the land and to build up the car wash to be operational, but a lot of folks have done that already. Like everywhere you go in America, there are at least like 2 to 3 notable car washes in a given neighborhood or area. So maybe the barriers to entry to start a car wash are pretty high, but the industry today is already extremely saturated. Like there's just a lot of solutions. And what that means is customers have a lot of options and can go with the cheapest, best quality option that fits their budget. And there's pretty low switching costs from going from one car wash to the next car wash. Like I'm not that tied to the one on my local neighborhood, but if you can find one that has low competition in a pretty solid area, you can get some pretty solid margins because it doesn't cost that much to operate it. The equipment is the fixed cost, but then the labor can be pretty cheap, and all you have to do is pay for like your water bill and the materials, and you can have like 60 to 70% gross margins in this kind of business. So with that, I will put this one all the way at B tier, primarily because of the competitive dynamics and the low switching costs for this business model. All right, so let's see how our tiered list for boring business is looking so far. And as you can see, pest control and funeral home services are leading the way with the S tier rankings. And if you guys are enjoying this, do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. This is the place where we make nothing but smart money moves, and subscribing costs you absolutely nothing but means the world to me as well as my team as we try to get you all smart money moves content every single week. But let's move on to the next one. I'm so curious to see what they have from Boogie. Hit me with it. What we got, Brody? Plumbing services. Fun fact, I've never used a plumber. All right, so for plumbing services, this one's a really good one. It's kind of similar to HVAC a little bit. So for recession resilience, good times are bad, you gotta get that stuff fixed. But also, I really like the characteristics of defensibility, primarily because AI is not coming for your plumbing job, right? So you kind of need to get that stuff fixed. And if it's a good time or a bad time, if your shower's not working or your dishwasher's not working or your sink doesn't flush, you're gonna have an issue. So recession resilience is very high in this one. And then for barriers to entry, this is also really high because this is a specialized skill that you need to have a license for. But then also what I really like about this is that we are in a skilled trade shortage, meaning that we don't have enough plumbers to go around. That's why there's a backlog whenever you call one. So there's a very fixed supply of those plumbers, but the gross margins could be better on this. Like this one is sitting around 40 to 50%, primarily because there is a pretty competitive landscape. Like plumbers can't charge anything they want. Like there are different options, but then also the price of your costs or the cost to produce the service, aka hiring the plumbers and the equipment, is getting a little bit more expensive because they know they're in high demand, so they can demand higher and higher wages. So with the pricing not going as much, but your costs increasing as well, that squeezes your margin profile. If you weren't in a skill trade shortage, it'd definitely be an S tier, but given everything going on right now, I will put this one at A tier. Okay, so we are on a roll. I'm gonna go to the next one, and I think I'm behind schedule a little bit because he sent me 2. But I'll go with the first one. We're gonna go with waste management. All right, so waste management is probably one of my favorite business models in the entire world. I'll tell you why. Number one, recession resilience. If you don't pick up your trash, it's gonna stink. Who gives a crap what the stock market is doing? You gotta pick that trash up or recycle or whatever. Like, you need to handle your waste. So that's not going nowhere. Barriers to entry, you gotta have the big trucks, you need to have the actual license, and you need to have the dumping contracts and licenses as well. Like, no one can just pick up and start a dumpster or a waste management business if they wanted to. Like, you kind of have to pay to play and be licensed to play in this particular business model. And then for gross margins, these are a little bit lower, but they stay the same like forever. Like, you can bank on a 30 to 40% gross margin profile for these kind of businesses all the time. So trash businesses are absolutely beautiful. They're never going away, and AI is not coming to pick up your trash. So we're gonna put this one at S tier. And if anyone knows about an amazing cash flowing waste management business for sale anywhere in America, you DM me, I will give you a referral bonus for buying that deal. All right? Because I love those companies. Let's find a bunch of those. All right, so I told you I already previewed the next one. So the next one is self-storage. And for self-storage, this one is pretty cool because the headline thesis here is that we have way too much shit, not enough space. Plain and simple. Like, Americans are hoarders at this point. Like, we have so many things. Like, I'm looking around at my place now and I just have so much unnecessary stuff. And the issue is, if you have that much stuff, you need somewhere to place it, all right? So storage units are booming right now. Now, recession resilience, this is like medium to high. Like, in a recession, yeah, someone might just sell their stuff, but odds are they'll probably park it somewhere and it's cheaper than upsizing to a bigger apartment. So buy yourself a storage unit for $100, $200 per month and put your extra stuff in there as you downsize and rent maybe a cheaper apartment in a recession. So they kind of still need it during downturns as well. And then for barriers to entry, these things cost a lot of money to not only just buy the land, but then also develop it as well. And then the gross margins for self-storage businesses can be actually pretty high because if you think about it, you just need to have the actual storage units and then maybe a security guard. Like, that's it. So with that in mind, high gross margins, high barriers to entry, and pretty solid but okay recession resilience, I'll put this one at A tier. And then moving on to the next one, it's going to be landscaping services. So for that recession resilience, that's actually kind of tough because when you think about it, when downturns happen, folks typically try to do it themselves or find and switch to a super cheap solution. Like, I'm not trying to keep my lawn and my garden like that fancy and clean if the markets are just like terrible. And then for barrier to entry, this is very low. Like, anyone can go buy equipment to produce this. And I don't know about you, but I don't think folks are checking licenses for this kind of stuff. Maybe HOA clients, but broadly, you can either start one relatively cheap and get customers by going door to door. So the barriers to entry are very low for this one. And then lastly, the gross margin profile, given that you can't charge that much, given the competitive landscape, can be around 30 to 40%. So with all that, like, I don't think we need to argue on this one. I will put this at C tier. Is that our first C tier business? Dang, that's tough. And then moving on to number 10, security services. Bodyguards and stuff, but I assume this is like patrolling malls and having like security guards at clubs and nightclubs and things like that. Let's dive into this one. So I think the theft doesn't stop, especially during downturns. Theft happens a lot more, so you kind of need to have security and bodyguards, I guess. And given that theft happens like pretty often, I would put this one as like medium to high recession resilience because probably when you go through a downturn, things get tougher. Thieves want to steal more, so you need to have more security. That's like my thesis on recession resilience. But the barriers to entry can be pretty low, given that you just need to have big, swole people to like protect the assets or protect the merchandise or the building or entry. Plain and simple. And there's a lot of those to go around. Look at these gym bros, all right? And then the gross margin, like, you're paying someone a full-time salary to kind of like sit in front of a place or drive a security patrol car, and that's pretty expensive. You're kind of paying a full-time salary for them to do that. So the margins on these kind of businesses can be between 20 to 30% gross margin profiles. So with that, it is unsexy, it's pretty essential, it has high recession resilience, but the cost and barriers to entry, like, it's kind of turning me off a little bit. I would probably put this one at B tier at most. All right, so let's find the next one. Oh, I guess we hit them all. But Bree asked me to actually find in business for one of our S tiers. All right, so for our S tiers, one of them was Pest Control. So I'm gonna try to find an actual business listing online that we can find and purchase today of an S tier cash flowing pest control business. So let's check this one out. So we found a pest control business all the way in Texas, and this one is for $750,000, and it is doing $443,000 of revenue. And then the cash flow profile is $187,000 of cash flow, meaning the margins is 42%. And this one is selling for a 4 times multiple. That's like okay still. I'm a buyer because, like I said, pest control, recession resilient, ants don't give a crap about the economy. But then also, this is an attractive multiple in generating strong margins and strong cash flow. I love this. And we can use some of that cash flow, 187 grand, to buy other ones and build a nice platform. Now we're winning here. But that one is super cool. And if you want to find 9 other boring cash flowing businesses that you can actually go out and buy literally today, check out this next video where I literally go through a list and find 10 of my favorite cash flowing boring businesses that you can go out to buy. So I'll catch you guys on that next one. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.